All the power of a photo studio in the palm of your hand. Get ready for a shower of high-resolution images because this is the Top 10 Phones with Best Camera 2022. Number 10. iPhone SE 2022. This photo tour starts out with a compact, efficient model. Although the iPhone SE 2022 has a single rear camera, it's powered by the A15 Bionic processor, which is the same one that the iPhone 13 has. Thanks to that, this single camera can handle complex lighting situations through its smart HDR4 and deep fusion functions that allow you to capture all the details and textures in good quality. The main camera comes with 12 megapixels, but what we really need to check is the f1.8 aperture that will be able to capture a large amount of light to create high-quality photos. On the other hand, its selfie camera is also 7 megapixels and has an f2.2 aperture. This is ideal for your favorite trends. Another important aspect is that it only weighs 5 ounces, making it easy to handle with one hand, and its battery lasts up to 9 hours, enough for a long walk. The only thing that could be questionable is that it doesn't have a night mode and its appearance is kind of outdated. Mind you, it costs only $430. I want it now. Number 9. Realme GT 2 Pro. If this cell phone isn't in a higher position, it's only because the Realme brand doesn't usually make phones with such good cameras. It has 3 main cameras. The first one has an f1.8 aperture, just like the iPhone SE. But this one is backed by 50 megapixels. The second camera is an ultra-wide angle that covers up to 150 degrees with a slightly smaller f2.2 aperture. The icing on the cake is the third camera, a microscope, with an even smaller f3.3 aperture but has a 40 times magnification. Awesome! The 32 megapixel selfie camera is also acceptable with an f2.4 aperture. Now, if we have to review it thoroughly, we must mention that the processor of this mobile phone is a first-generation Snapdragon 8, which can be kind of outdated. Although this doesn't seem to influence its photographic performance too much, you can get this phone starting at $800. Number 8. Sony Xperia 1 III. The cameras of this cell phone are controlled by a very powerful Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 processor, making it one of the best devices for creating audio-visual content. With the Xperia 1 III, you can get cinema-style photos and videos in a 21:9 aspect ratio, with great color quality that can be perfectly manipulated in software applications such as Premiere and DaVinci. Its 8 megapixel selfie camera is acceptable with an f2.0 aperture. Now, its 3 rear cameras are another story. The first 12 megapixel camera has an f1.7 aperture, one of the best apertures on the list. The other 2 cameras are also 12 megapixels with f2.2 and f2.3 apertures, which will allow you to capture a large amount of detail, as well as record videos in 4K at 120 FPS. This phone is sick as well, as its price, $1,800, that make it lose points since anyone can build the best camera with all the money in the world, but if you can afford it, you can practically make movies with it. Number 7. OnePlus 10 Pro. The 3 rear cameras of this cell phone meet the needs of the most demanding users. The main one is 48 megapixels with an f1.8 aperture, which is quite good. But this becomes wonderful when we review its 50 megapixel wide angle and f2.2 aperture. If you want to get your shots a little closer, the 8 megapixel third lens with an f2.4 aperture and telephoto magnification of 3.3 will do its job. Its 32 megapixel selfie camera is also great, as it has an f2.2 aperture. Excellent. You can see all this recording potential perfectly on a 6.7-inch AMO LED screen. If your intention is to take a very long walk, this cell phone is perfect for you, since its battery lasts up to 12 hours and 39 minutes. The best part is that this cell phone isn't overpriced, as you can get it for $900. This is an acceptable cost-benefit balance. Number 6. Xiaomi Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G. Can you believe you can get this phone for only $430? Unbelievable! There are 3 cameras on the back. The main one is 108 megapixels and has an f1.9 aperture. Thanks to this lens, you'll be able to take huge photos with a large amount of detail. and at any time of the day since it features a very efficient night mode. Its other two cameras are quite modest, an 8-megapixel wide-angle camera with an f2.2 aperture and the other 2-megapixel macro camera with an f2.4 aperture. Plus, this mobile phone can record videos with a 1080 pixel resolution at 30 fps. Its 16-megapixel front camera has an f2.4 aperture that provides a pretty decent photo quality. This cell phone is a compact, simple, and affordable wonder for all the pics you want to capture. Number 5. Oppo Find X5 Pro. It's time to level up. Although it costs $1,280, a little more expensive than the previous ones, the Oppo Find X5 Pro is a true photo-taking machine. It has 3 rear cameras, each with a different purpose. The first one is a 50-megapixel camera with an excellent f1.7 aperture, while the second one is a 50-megapixel wide-angle camera with an f2.2 aperture to take panoramic photos full of details. The last one is a 13-megapixel telephoto lens with an f2.4 aperture and a 2x zoom without losing any quality. And to round it out, its front camera is 32 megapixels with an f2.4 aperture, so your selfies will be perfect. Now, this cell phone has 2 special attributes that make it one of a kind: an incredible capacity to process and capture color, and its Mirror Silicone X system that reduces noise and images to the maximum. This cell phone is simply amazing. Number 4. Huawei P50 Pro. If the pics you take with this cell phone are so good, that's because of one of its 4 rear cameras. The P50 Pro has a 40-megapixel monochrome camera with an excellent f1.6 aperture, which serves as a support to boost the other cameras it has with details and depth. The main camera is 50 megapixels and has an f1.8 aperture with optical stabilization and autofocus. Its other 13-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera has an f2.2 aperture, and the latest one is a large 64-megapixel telephoto lens with an f3.5 aperture and a 3.5 zoom without reducing the quality of the photo. Its front camera is 13 megapixels and has an f2.4 aperture. An attribute that makes this cell phone interesting is its automatic photography mode that adapts perfectly to all the captures you can imagine, even if it's at night. Impressive, right? It can be yours for $1,060, a good price compared to its rivals. Number 3. Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. The night mode of this cell phone is interesting. Thanks to the super clear glass on its lenses, it provides reduced glare when taking pictures at night or in low light without sacrificing definition. Also, its automatic framing function allows up to 10 people to focus simultaneously, which is incredible, especially for trips or group walks. Now, let's analyze its 4 cameras. The main one is a 108-megapixel camera with an f1.8 aperture to take giant photos. The second one is a 12-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera with an f2.2 aperture to achieve nice panoramic views. The third camera is a 10-megapixel telephoto lens with an f4.9 aperture and optical zoom that magnifies things 10 times without losing quality. And the last of its rear cameras is 10 megapixels with a more modest x3 zoom and an f2.4 aperture for intermediate distances. In a nutshell, this phone has impressive photographic power, and you can buy it starting at $950. Number 2. Google Pixel 6 Pro. For some people, this is the phone with the best camera today, and for others, being the number 2 suits it perfectly. Let's analyze it thoroughly. It has 3 rear cameras. The main one is 50 megapixels and has an f1.85 aperture. Its second one is a 12-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera with an f202 aperture for excellent panoramic photos. The third one is a 48-megapixel telephoto lens with an f3.5 aperture and zoom that magnifies everything up to 4 times without distorting anything. Also, its night sight function allows you to capture a great amount of detail and light at night or in dark settings. Its Tensor processor provides great support for all the capacity and operability of the photographic qualities of the Pixel 6. This time, it's not about different good attributes separately, but all together and at a good price. This cell phone costs only $700. Isn't that amazing? Alright, it's time to know the best phone with a wonderful camera. Are you ready? Number 1. iPhone 13 Pro Max. Being worth $1,100, you can say that the price of the iPhone 13 and what it has to offer are balanced out. Although when it comes to megapixels, its 3 rear cameras aren't the best. We already know that we don't need to focus on that, especially because its main camera has an f1.5 aperture. So this is the largest aperture on the list, and as this is a 12 megapixel camera, you'll be able to capture a bunch of details and a high quality image. The second camera is an ultra-wide angle that has an f1.8 aperture and is 12 megapixels too. This means we already have 2 absurdly good cameras in a single phone. Its 12 megapixel telephoto lens has an f2.5 aperture with 3 times magnification, which is very acceptable. The 12 megapixel selfie camera is considered to be average with an f2.2 aperture. All its capturing power is supported by the A15 Bionic processor that you can get photos and videos in cinematic style and high definition with. Also, you can see everything directly on its 6.7-inch OLED screen. So much power in a device that quickly became popular around the world. Are you an iPhone lover, or do you prefer to explore the other brands that I showed you on this list? I want to read your opinion in the comments. And while you're on it, like the video and subscribe to the channel to enjoy more content like this. Now I'm gonna go take some pictures. See ya!